What's up, guys? DSP Tactical here, back with another video. Today we're going to be breaking down and reviewing my SCAR 17S NRCH from FN. This is the 7.62 version, the battle rifle, built for modern combat optics and configurable setups, now offered with this new non-reciprocating charging handle. We'll go over the weight, obviously the machining and the monolithic receiver design, the NRCH upgrade, handling, rail options, finish choices, and kind of why this rifle mattered, especially now that recently FN completed the final commercial run of this legacy SCAR line. They're no longer making it, so hopefully mine goes up a bit in value, but in the meantime, we'll break down what we got here and go from there. So let's get into the box. Again, I bought this SCAR. I've shot it. I've only put 100 rounds through it. There's no accessories or optics yet, so I'm actually really looking to you guys to maybe throw some ideas my way, whether it be an ACOG or something a little more long range. I don't know that I want to suppress it and deal with all that, but I could throw an ACOG on there. I'm sure I'll throw a sling on there. Definitely a flash, possibly even a laser. I don't know. So, again, relatively new purchase. Haven't buffed it out yet. Haven't spent the money on the optics. I like to buy my stuff and try it out with the iron sights first. Put some rounds through it. Only 100 or so have been through this, maybe less. But I'm going to look to you guys on this one in the comments. Please let me know what you think I should throw on it, what you would. Obviously, we like, with the higher end stuff, we like the higher end stuff. So any of the good brands, good quality, optics and accessories, shoot them in the comments, and I'll see what I can do with this thing. So it is a beefy box. It's a long rifle. The camera is fully zoomed out, so bear with me there. But we'll pop this guy open and get into it. I've thrown away, I think, the lock, or maybe somewhere else. I don't have the lock in here. And I don't know if I have all the paperwork or like the sticker or anything, but here's what I do have. These first two, again, just manuals, and then obviously the rifle itself. So we'll pull this out of here now and get it set up to get a proper review. We do have 7.62 by 51 in there. Nothing loaded in, so it's fully safe, but I wanted to have the rounds in there and show the rounds while we kind of review it, and kind of break down, what's possible for this rifle, because it's definitely a long-range rifle, not very practical for sort of everyday use, but definitely a cornerstone in the rifle world. Whether you grew up playing Call of Duty or Fortnite or any of those things, this is arguably the most well-known rifle that there is. So let's break down kind of quick specs, as we always do. Quick specs on this one. Up front, the SCAR 17S is 7.62 by 51 millimeters semi-auto, with a 16.25 inch cold hammer forged barrel, 1 to 12 twist, and a listed empty weight around 8 pounds. It ships usually with a 10 or 20. I have a 20. Magazine option, and that monolithic hard anodized receiver, and at full length top rail with an integrated mounting. So the overall length ranges from 36 to 38.5 inches depending on the stock position. But these platform numbers matter. This is a long range, capable, modular battle rifle versus a typical PDW. So kind of getting into why the NRCH matters. Obviously, NRCH stands for Non-Reciprocating Charging Handle, meaning when you're shooting this thing, this isn't going back and forth, so you can kind of avoid getting that SCAR thumb. And it's a meaningful evolution for the SCAR platform, where a traditional reciprocating handle moves with the bolt. The NRCH locks it forward and remains stationary during firing, and that lets you mount optics, obviously low, and run different sort of grip positions without moving that handle interfacing behind your object, and can improve forward assist capability. FN offers an OEM NRCH bolt carrier assembly and dual charging handles as an upgrade, and several dealers list NRCH equipped 17S variants. So this thing's pretty good. Just to kind of get an up close and personal, the front sight, all you have to do is push up this little piece right here and roughly pull it forward. It's kind of hard to do until it kind of breaks in. This back piece here doesn't have any button. You kind of just flip it up, and then you can tweak this piece in the middle, whether you want it to be a smaller or bigger circle. The famous UGG boot, you just press that button in and pull it out. It's got 6 options, or 5, I believe. It's numbered 6, but I think it's 5 plus where it starts. The safety is super, super duper easy to push up and down. Probably one of my favorite safeties on all AR platforms. And then obviously, there's Picatinny rails everywhere. So when I do, accessorize this thing and throw some stuff on it, I have a lot of options and a lot of space for it all. So to kind of get into the monolithic receiver and the short stroke piston system, the SCAR's monolithic upper is a signature piece, machined as a single hard anodized aluminum structure that houses the rail and barrel assembly with rigid alignment. It's coupled with FN's short stroke gas piston and rotating locking bolts. So the platform aims to deliver consistent performance across harsh conditions and heavy calibers. That receiver rigidity is part of why the SCAR can run suppressed too, except optics and holds 0 under extremely heavy use. It's built like a small chassis. To kind of get into the rails, the factory rails are pretty extensive. Top mill STD, pick and tree across the receiver and the handguard, plus M-lock or modular slots depending on the model. The NRCH variants, charging handles are ambidextrous and reversible. And with the non-reciprocating setup, you trade reciprocation for static, optic-friendly handle. Controls are largely ambidextrous. Bolt release, mag release, and safety are set up for fast manipulation. Obviously, the one side you could choose kind of which side you want to put the longer one and the shorter one. Let's just drop this mag to be safe. This longer sort of handle here, you can flip on that other side. But as you can see, it's pretty smooth. Obviously, we'll open up the bolts here too and kind of give you a peek on the inside. It's just a pretty gun, and it's, in my opinion, it was probably one of the silliest decisions for SCAR to do was to discontinue this thing. It's so beloved by so many people, obviously used by a lot of forces, and it's reliable, and it can get dirty and it can get down, and it just keeps going boom. So hate to see it go, hate to see the line stop. I'm glad I got one while they were still out. I still don't have a 16 in that 5.56, but I do have plenty of 5.56s and kind of shorter barrel rifles and smaller stuff to compensate not having the other SCAR in the SCAR family in my safe. So this one does the trick for me. I love shooting it. And there's a lot more kind of to dig into as we break it down. So this is a rifle designed to accept real combat kit, right? Lasers, optics, bipods. I'll probably definitely throw a bipod on there, and kind of mission specific front ends without the compromises of hobbyist adapters, right? So now we'll kind of get into the weight. Briefly, the balancing and the handling. It's about 8 pounds empty. It's not a super light gun, but the 17S is a substantial rifle. Carriage favors stability over sprint speed, right? So balances forward of center with longer barrelness, upward mass. The monolithic rail and the barrel assembly give a planted feel. If you're moving long distances, you'll want a proper sling. But if you're kind of just deploying from a vehicle or static positions, the weight helps with recoil mitigation and precision. Compared to, lighter AR pattern 308 options, the SCAR trades, a little mobility for a lot of on-target stability and reduced recoil impulse thanks to its piston system. So, you give and take with some of these rifles. You lose some stuff from others, but It's a blast to shoot. It's a heavy round. It's loud, but man, does it go? And it's in my opinion, one of the best combat rifles ever. And I'm sure all if you've seen videos of scars or kind of looked into them, you can collapse this stock here by just pressing in that button. It does actually have a little spot over here for it to kind of fold into, so you could go a little bit smaller. But I actually, I like having it out, and furthermore, I only shoot it at this third position here because I'm not a massive guy. I'm only 6 feet, so I kind of like having it in the middle. That's kind of where some of those other SBRs with only 1 or 2 or 3 options in that stock or the pistol brace stop at. More options here makes it a lot easier for a lot of shooters. And then also this little cheek, I call it a cheek sit, but it's basically a cheek mount where you lift your cheek. You can kind of pop it up too, and it locks in that position. So they definitely gave this model, FN did, a lot of thought towards its end user, and it paid off. I mean, they sell these, this is arguably the hottest selling rifle on the market. Getting kind of into finishes and colorways in sort of the discontinuation context. It's offered in black, it's offered in this FDE desert, and it's also offered in the camo woodlands pattern over the years. It's also worth noting industry news of that final production of the Legacy Scar series, which changes collector and spare parts dynamics going forward, right? Service support and parts availability have been stated to continue for a period, but the commercial production run is complete. So this makes the NRCH and configured scars interesting collector's pieces moving forward, because who knows what's going to happen with sort of their other lines. I know that they're starting to do the LIC or the LIC. A couple of my buddies have been looking into it. I'm not a huge fan of it. Humble opinion, I think they're getting rid of their baby, of their breadwinner, and this is again one of the most iconic guns, in my opinion, ever, aside from the Desert Eagle. So we'll see what happens with the discontinuation and kind of how it affects the market, and parts and all that jazz. But I'm definitely sad to see it go. I'm glad I got one while they were still around. But I have a profound love for the FN Scar series, and it's a shame to see them kind of halt production there, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. On range performance and recoil, I mean, it's a 7.62 308 round. On the range, it's pretty stable and predictable. The short stroke piston reduces direct gas impingement on the bolt carrier, lowering carrier heat and fouling. Recoil is stout. It's a 7.62 at rifle velocities, but the weight and brake options tame the muzzle rise. So the non-reciprocating charging handle doesn't change ballistic performance, but it does not make optics mounting and transitions cleaner when you run low profile sights. If you sort of chronograph your loads, including distance and bullet weight on screen, that context kind of helps viewers understand groups and recoil impressions. It's an interesting rifle to say the least. But again, long story short, it's a 7.62 rifle. You're going to get a little kick. It is what it is. It's I've run both 308 and 7.62 by 51. In it. It takes them both the same. I don't notice a massive difference. But you feed her, she'll run. It's kind of one of those rifles that just chugs along. Kind of getting into briefly touching on maintenance and longevity. I mean, maintenance on a piston gun is different from direct impingement ARs. You'll want to monitor the piston, the gas block, the extractor, but you'll generally see less carrier carbon in the receiver. With the Scar line discontinued commercially, most Scar owners should be mindful of spare part sourcing and keep records of serials and parts. FN stated that after-sale parts support for a limited time. So it's worth noting, if you're buying one or collecting one, that you got to be mindful of kind of maintenance and upkeep with these things. We'll just briefly touch on kind of who this is for, and then we'll kind of pull the mag out and do a dry fire and go over last pieces on it. But the Scar 17S NRCH is really for the shooter who wants to be tactical but not overly tactical, right? You're going to want a rugged full-size 7.62 battle rifle with factory optics compatibility and modern ergonomics, right? And for the collector who recognizes the significance of an NRCH equipped Scar, now that commercial, the commercial run has ended. It's not the lightest 308 out there, but it brings a battle ready feature set in rock solid construction to the table. It's just a killer gun, and it's any collector's dream, especially that they're not making them anymore. So let's get down on this a little bit. Obviously, we've kind of touched on the iron sights and looked at kind of how you flip them up and down. Again, same way to go down. You push this lever up, and you just push it down, and it locks into place there. Again, we got the dual ambi mag release on both sides, so it's right here and it's right here. Pop that to the side. Striking sound. Again, if someone came into my house and started pulling the charging handles back on everything, I'd probably recognize this sound the most. It's pretty iconic, and there's a dry fire. Again, 7.62 rifle, so when you do pull the trigger, it goes boom, boom really loud, but you got a little pull there, a little soften, but once it goes, it goes. I just love the way this thing looks. I've kind of flirted with shortening the barrel and putting on a suppressor or kind of messing with it in other ways, but something about the Scar versus any other rifle, the stock Scar is just so beautiful to look at. And I think you can tell from some of my other videos, I obviously like nice stuff, but I also like iconic stuff. So to jazz this up with a bunch of crap, it doesn't make much sense for how I like to see it. I love high-performing rifles, high-performing pistols, but the looks of it matter too. And for such an iconic gun that's now discontinued, I'm not sure how much I'm going to do to this. I definitely want to throw a bipod. I definitely want to do a vertical grip, and I definitely want to do a sight. But other than that, I don't know if I'm going to jazz it up with lasers and flashes. I could put a flash on the other side of this Picatinny over there. I probably will. I always say I'm not gonna, but I always end up doing it. But again, shoot in the comments what you think, might look good on this or be, better tactically. Obviously, it's a long gun, so it's not extremely maneuverable. And I don't see myself doing long range competitions. I'm more so just an enthusiast, and I like to shoot with my buddies on the weekends. But I like nice stuff, so definitely shoot in the comments what my options are here. I'm not asking a bunch of questions to a bunch of people about what I could do to it, because at most of these stores they just want to sell you stuff. So your guys' opinion matters too, and definitely kind of let me know what's possible with this. I've never liked big long sights for extremely aggressive long range shooting. That's just not my look, not my vibe. I'm never gonna do that. So I think kind of a shorter ACOG here. I don't think I'm going to do an EOTech. It's almost too big to have such a small sight. I think I need a little length. Definitely a bipod that folds up top, a vert grip, and I'll consider a flashlight too. But this is one of my rifles, right, that I don't really know what I want to do with it yet. So your comments in the below chain will definitely move weight for me. Obviously, there's a sling mount here too. I'm definitely going to need a sling for this because it's pretty damn heavy. Sling mounts here and there. That's really it, guys. There's not much more to it. The Scar is pretty known, pretty recognizable. You know what you're going to get. But definitely looking to see what you guys think I should do in terms of accessories and optics. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I'm liking going through my rifles. I'm kind of liking this page. I get to kind of take stuff out of my safe and out of my bags and kind of look at it from a third party's lens and definitely ask for help. It's a big world, but it's a small world. And there's a lot of people out there that are a whole lot smarter than me that know a whole lot more about this kind of stuff. And, I'm just an enthusiast. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to expand my knowledge and put the right stuff on here. to kind of make it as good as it can be. So appreciate you guys watching. Please drop a subscribe below and a like. It'll help me a lot just to keep posting. It'll give me some weekend motivation when I make these little videos, and we'll be sure to take these out on the range and fire away. But as always, guys, take care, be safe, keep shooting.